Hello and welcome to From the Heart with Kay. I'm your host, Kay Perkins. Today I want to share with you on the topic of forgiveness. I know as Christians and other faiths, we always talk about the importance of forgiveness when we want God to forgive us. However, I think we focus more on what unforgiveness is and how unforgiveness impacts our lives, not necessarily on the multiple layers of forgiveness. On this week, I was talking with a young lady that I am mentoring, and she began to share about how she had trust issues and how she can only trust her husband and her children. And the first thing that came to my mind was, do you have forgiveness issues? And she said, no, I forgive. I always forgive, because if I don't forgive, God won't forgive me. But I think that's the answer that we're all supposed to give as people of faith, But over the years that I've learned that forgiveness has many layers to it. And that's what I want to share with you guys on today. Over the years, I've experienced different things and situations in my life, and they have caused me to look at forgiveness in a different way. In the beginning, I used to focus on just unforgiveness and the lows and the bad things that happen when you don't forgive. But I never really thought about what true forgiveness looked like. When learning about inner healing, I found out that there were multiple layers to forgiveness. Everybody knows that we're supposed to forgive our brothers as we forgive ourselves. And I think a lot of us stop right there. But there's more to it. A lot of times when we have footholds and barriers in our lives, it's because we haven't forgiven ourselves. And a lot of the things that we have to forgive ourselves from is not even our fault. It's really nothing that we should hold ourselves accountable for, but we have these arguments with ourselves. Oh, I should have known better. I should have done this or that. We rehash these situations in our minds as if we can actually go back and change them, and it makes a difference. Sometimes you just have to figure out how to move from that place. And how you do that is by forgiving yourself. Sometimes you have to forgive yourself for not knowing, because if you know better, you do better. And sometimes you have to forgive yourself for knowing and not doing better, wanting to trust, want to give someone the benefit of the doubt. There's many things that we actually do in situations that progress them along. However, we never really consider those things when we're forgiving. We always think about forgiving the person first. Another layer, a sub-layer to forgiveness, is forgiving God. I know, that's like the ultimate taboo. Who wants to admit that they have unforgiveness when it comes to God? But if I can share a secret with you, even if we don't forgive God or tell him that we're angry with him, he already knows. And as a part of the healing process and closing the door in forgiveness, you have to say it out loud. You have to admit that you're not perfect, and that in God and all his perfection, you don't always understand what he does or doesn't do in the situations in your life. And by you doing that, it's a release in your spirit that allows God to come in and heal you, your heart, your mind, your spirit, and allows you to close the door on those situations that make you have reactions every time you experience something similar to it. The other thing that I want to share with you guys on today is something that I ran into in my own process. It's called conditional forgiveness. Sometimes when we forgive people with knowing in the back of our minds that God is going to punish them. You think, okay, God's got my back. He's going to take care of this. This person is going to suffer. Karma is going to work its way into the system. And I need to forgive him or her to release that, to put it in God's hand. But in the back of our mind, we're always waiting and watching to see how God is going to punish that person. I can give you an example from my own life. I was raped and molested as a kid. And the person that did it, when I became a Christian and accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, it was one of the things at the top of my list that I had to forgive to move on. And I did. But it wasn't until many years later, when he passed on, that I realized that I had not truly forgiven him. What I had found out was that a few days before he passed on, he received Jesus as his Lord and Savior. He was redeemed. He had salvation. And shortly after that, he just went to sleep and he didn't wake up. And when I heard about it, I got so angry because I knew that God was going to punish him for hurting me as a child. I knew that he was going to burn in hell for what he had done to me and other people. And when I found out that that wasn't the case and that he had received salvation and went to heaven, I was so angry at God because how could you do this? How could you let him go to heaven, after what he did to me? And an aunt of mine, she said, the devil does not create souls, so he shouldn't get any souls. And I had to learn and be thankful that he had received God. And what you don't know is that he suffered for years here on earth before he was able to go to heaven. A lot of times we never know what people go through after they hurt us. We close the door on them. We never see them again. We never talk to them, and we try to move on. We close it up in the dark when in fact we haven't even dealt with it. We always talk about the perils of unforgiveness. But just as there are perils of unforgiveness, there are perils of temporary or conditional forgiveness. We never are able to reach our true healing. We get some relief, but we never get to be who we were created to be. It's almost like, putting ointment and a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. We've treated the outside, but we've never treated the heart of it. And as the bullet stays inside of us, it festers, it causes infections. And it's spiritual infections because it comes out in how we treat people and our ability not to trust people and just all these different things that it manifests throughout our lives. And we never really realize that it's tied for that thing that we supposedly forgave. So on today, I want you guys to just really do some soul searching. Think about all the things that you have said that you've forgiven and you've moved on from. And just really search your heart and see if it was conditional forgiveness or true forgiveness, because it can make the difference between you just merely living and surviving or you thriving and being who God has created you to be. So on this day, focus on being forgiven and forgiven. Be blessed, my friends. And I pray God's favor over your life and that you continue to grow and learn who he truly is to you. Have a great day.